Hello and welcome to this session on data pre-processing. In this session, we are going to discuss about missing value imputation. So we'll see how to do missing value imputation using basic Python. So we'll just name it as missing value imputation 1. So we'll just see here how to do missing value imputation using basic Python. So missing value imputation is nothing but a process through which we can fill up the missing values in data set. So we have seen in data pre-processing, like when we get any data set, there might be some missing value within the data set. So we'll see how do we impute those values by using some kind of strategy. So here we will see how to do this missing value imputation. So for doing this, first let me just mark down here. We'll just write it down saying missing value imputation using basic Python. So we'll just see how to do missing value imputation using Python. So now here for doing missing value imputation, first thing is like we'll be importing the packages which we need for the analysis. Like we'll say here importing packages. So we'll import NumPy, we'll import pandas. So these all packages we need. We'll not be plotting any graphs, like we'll be using Seaborn also to plot some graph. We can use this. Now here we will see how to impute value. So for that, like we'll be taking a data set. We'll first read the data. So here we'll be taking a data set which is there in dataset folder. It's in Excel format. So we'll just name it as pd.read_excel. So this method we'll be using to read a Excel data set, and it is there in data sets, and there is something called as stark data.xlsx. So this is our data. Now if you look at this data, it has got 6 records only. It's a very small data set, and this is just a data set which I have created myself just for understanding how missing value imputation works. So it's just a small data set with some values. So here we'll just look at this data. It has got all these things like some characters, their age, their gender, and if they survived or not. So this data set is with respect to a novel, that is Songs of Ice and Fire. It's with respect to a novel, and here it shows like few of the characters in that novel and how like what is their age, what is their gender, and if they survived or not in that particular story. So now here basically it just shows few of the things within the data, and we are not going to do any kind of machine learning study here. We will just see how to pre-process this data. Now if we look at this data, we can see that there is some missing value. So it's just a very small data set, and we can see here like in age we can see one missing value like NaN. NaN stands for not a number. In Python, NaN stands for not a number, means like the null values are represented as NaN in Python. So now we see here there is one missing value. To look at the missing value, we can also get the information about the data set. For this we can use dataset.info parameter, and it will show us the information. So here also it says that in age there is a missing value, like we see 6 age values are there, 6 age values are there, and character value, sorry, age value is 5, character value is 6, gender value is 6, but in age we have only 5 records. That means there is a missing value in age. Now next what we can do is to work around with missing, we can also see the missing value, like the different ways how do we see if there is any missing value within the data set. We will see first. So one is dataset.info, which tells us if there is a missing value. If there is a NaN value, it will just think that it's a missing value and it will show us the count. Sometimes missing value also might be a number. In that case, this data set.info will not give us any kind of information if it's a number. So here, as it is NaN, so that's why like it has detected that it's a null value, so that's why it shows it's a missing value. And not null parameter, there are 5. So here, like there is one more way to check the missing value, that is the null value. If we want to check the null values, there is one more way to check that, that is there is a function is null. This also shows us if there is a null value, like it will show true if there is any null value and false if there is no null value. If there is a value present, it will show it as false. If there is a null value, it will show it as true. So within this data set, we can see that there is one true value. That means one null value is there. We can also represent it in a graph to visualize, like suppose we have a lot of values, we have like almost thousands of missing values or hundreds of missing values. It's very difficult to analyze this kind of table, like where it is true and false. So for that we can put it in graph. We can plot these null values in graph. So for plotting these null values in graph, we can use Seaborn. There is a plot, that is heat map. We can use here heat map, and here I'll say dataset dot is null. So it will plot a heat map on this. So we can see here that on age there is some null value. So here like lighter color means actually 1.0, true is 1.0 and false is 0.0. So that's how like Boolean values work. False means 0, true means 1. So if it is 1, that means lighter in color, that means there is a null value. So whenever we see a lighter color in heat map, we can see in this that there is some light color here in age, and we can say that okay, there is a null value here in age. So this is how we can also picturize uh, null values in graphs, or else we can see the null values by using this dataset.isNull function, or else we can also use this info to see if there is a null value. And if there is 0 as a null value, sometimes we can see age being 0. 0 means okay, that is also a null value. For that we can just see the count of 0, like we can just write a condition to see where all the values are 0, like that. So this is how like we can see if it is a null value. Like here in our data set we have a NaN value which is nothing but a null value. So now here to work around this, first we will be taking the value. Suppose I will populate the values as independent and dependent variable. Suppose here like I will just take the age value, like we just need the age value. Anyways, we don't need the data to be populated, but I will simply populate it. I'll simply populate the values as independent and dependent variables. So I'll just say here x is nothing but like suppose in our case I'll say x is character, age, gender. These are our independent variables, and suppose survived is dependent. Here for like filling up the gap we don't need this, but just to take the data set, because usually like whenever we'll be working on top of any data we have to figure out like what is x and y if we are working with supervised learning and all. But anyways, here I'll just take this x value saying colon comma colon minus 1. That means take all the row values and except the last column. Here like first one is row, second one is column, so we are saying all the column as well, but except the last column. Last column we will take it as y. So this is our x, and our y will be dataset dot iloc integer based location and the third index. So here 0 1 2 3, survived is the third index. Now here we have taken our x value, so we are concerned with x value, and here within our x we have to fill up this gap. This age has a missing record and we have to fill up this missing record. That is called as missing value imputation, like where we will try to impute some value in that missing value area. So now to impute any value here, like what we can impute. Now if I take this age and analyze, like I can see here these are all age values which is there. Now to impute this age, what strategy we can use is, usually like we people use measure of center. Like any statistician you will see usually they will use measure of center, that is either mean, median or mode. If it is a categorical column like we see most frequent data, we can use mode, like the most frequent we can take in that. Also within a data, if we see a value being repeated multiple times, we can take it as like most frequent value, that is the mode we can fill up. Otherwise, like some cases, we can also fill up the median. If we see the data is highly dispersed, we can use median. Like if we have a lot of outliers, also we can use median, or else we can use mean, that is the average. That is the common strategy which is used for missing value imputation. So here, like wherever there is a missing value imputation, I can simply fill up the mean. So we can go with this strategy of filling up the value with mean. So let's see the mean of age. So here it shows 28.6 is the average of age. So now anywhere we see a missing value, we can just fill up with 28.6. This is one strategy which can be used. There are other strategies. There are a lot of strategies which are there for doing missing value imputation. The common one is measure of center. Now if we have lot of records here, as we are trying to fill just one record, it's fine, like we can take the mean and fill it up. But suppose we have almost thousands of characters, thousands of records, I cannot feel, like suppose we have almost from 1000 we have almost 200 records, age value is missing. We cannot say okay everyone's age is 28.6. So that will not make our data much more quality oriented. So that's why like we have to analyze the other columns. Like we can say with respect to gender, what is the age group, what is the average age with respect to some other factors. Also we can analyze if we have other factors. But here for just for basic this is just a basic data set, and like usually we can take this mean only to impute the value. So we can just take mean of the data and impute it. For imputing the value, we can just pass the index and we can impute, or else suppose we have a lot of values missing, so we can write a function to impute. Wherever there is a missing value, we can impute 28.6 there, wherever there is a missing age value. So for that I can write a function, like we'll be writing a function like impute age here, and this function will take a parameter as age, and here we can say if pt dot is null, that means if that value is null, if age value is null, then impute it with uh, will return from this as 28.6, that is the average, and if it is not null, then return whatever value is already there. So if it is not null, then return the age value itself. So this is nothing but we have just written a simple function. We can use it in all the cases, like whenever we are working around with any kind of missing value data or attribute which is missing. So we can just pass the attribute here, and we can just see if that attribute value is null or not. So this has to be run in loop, like it will be checking for first record. If the first record value is null, then it will return 28.6. If it is not null, it will return whatever value is already there, that is whatever age is already present. Similarly it will do that in loop. So now to run this in loop, we can write a for loop, or else we can use here a function which is there in this Python. That is like I'll just take here x of age, that is the value, and here x of age dot apply. So this apply, what it will do, like we will just call here impute underscore age. So what this function actually does, this apply function will call this function impute age, like which we have defined, and within this we are just passing an argument here age. If you want to pass like multiple argument, you can just write it in comma separated, and you can make it a 2D, two-dimensional data, and you can pass like multiple arguments here. We are only passing one argument, as the function need only one argument. We are just passing one argument and we are calling the function here. So once we do that, what will happen, like it will just pass the age data to this function and it will run it in loop. So it will call this function impute age, and it will pass the age data row by row, like one by one. So that is like running in loop. So first time it will pass 52.0, age is there for the first record, so it will return the age value itself. Second 27, third 21, fourth 19, and fifth one is NN. So whenever it is NN, it will go to this null and it will impute 28.6 for that. So let's run it, and now we will see again what is the age values which we have. So we can see now the age value is filled. So this age value for this one, that is Rob, is filled up with 28.6. So now we don't have any missing value anymore here, like the missing value is filled here. So this is how we can do missing value imputation. Now again, if we want to see like if there is any null value or not, we can just look into the heat map, and here x dot is null. So we are just taking the x, we can take the whole data also, sorry, SNS, and here we can see there is no null value. It looks clear now. So this is how we can do missing value imputation using basic Python. We were going ahead, we will also see like how to do missing value imputation using some ready-made package like scikit-learn and all. So this is all for this session. Thank you for attending.